Have you ever wondered why so many of our societal problems seem unsolvable? Why well-intentioned plans fall apart? Why institutions decay despite our best efforts to save them? Today, we're exploring what might be the most overlooked force shaping human civilization, the profound impact of human stupidity. Not malice, not corruption, not conspiracy, simply stupidity. Drawing inspiration from social scientist Charles Kenney's groundbreaking framework on irrational behavior, we'll examine how stupidity functions as a silent tax on human progression we all pay, yet rarely acknowledge. Before we continue, let's clarify something important. This isn't about intelligence in the conventional sense. We're not talking about IQ scores or academic achievements. The kind of stupidity we're examining transcends education levels and can be found in university halls just as easily as on street corners. In Kenney's analysis, he proposes what he calls the 5 fundamental principles of human irrationality. The first principle states, the prevalence of irrational behavior in society is consistently underestimated by rational actors. This shouldn't be surprising. We naturally assume others think like we do. When someone makes a decision that seems utterly incomprehensible to us, our first instinct is to search for hidden motives or complex reasoning behind it. We resist accepting the simpler explanation. Sometimes people just act stupidly. The journalist H.L. Mencken captured this perfectly when he wrote, "No one in this world has ever lost money by underestimating the intelligence of the great masses of the plain people." Even the mathematician Kurt Gödel reportedly claimed, "The systematic error in how humans approach problems may be the greatest unsolved mystery in science." This blind spot creates a pervasive social illusion. We assume rational motivations behind clearly irrational behaviors. We construct elaborate explanations for simple stupidity, and in doing so, we drain tremendous energy trying to solve problems that have no rational solution. Kenney's second principle deepens our understanding. Irrational behavior occurs independently of all other human characteristics or variables. This is crucial to understand. Stupidity isn't confined to any political party, social class, educational background, or profession. It can't be predicted by income, nationality, religion, or any demographic marker. The capacity for profound stupidity is perhaps the most democratically distributed human trait. As Kenney notes, whether you frequent exclusive social circles or spend your days among remote tribes, whether you isolate yourself in religious contemplation or surround yourself with intellectual elites, the percentage of people acting irrationally remains remarkably constant, and that percentage will always exceed your expectations. This universality means there's no escaping the effects of stupidity, no matter how carefully you choose your environment or associates. But what exactly constitutes stupidity in this framework? This brings us to Kenney's third principle, which provides a precise definition. A stupid person is one who causes harm to others while deriving no benefit for themselves, and often suffering harm in the process. To understand this fully, let's consider 4 basic types of social actors. First, we have the intelligent, those whose actions benefit both themselves and others. They create win-win scenarios and generally increase the total well-being in society. Second, the helpless, those whose actions benefit others at their own expense. They may be exploited or simply lack the skill to capture value they create. Third, the opportunists, those who benefit themselves at others' expense. While their actions may be morally questionable, they follow a certain internal logic. And finally, the stupid, those whose actions harm others while providing no benefit to themselves, and sometimes even causing self-harm. Their behavior lacks not just morality, but basic rationality. What makes stupidity so destructive is precisely this irrationality. When someone acts in their self-interest, even immorally, their behavior follows predictable patterns, but stupid actions follow no logic, making them impossible to anticipate or defend against. This leads us to Kenney's fourth principle. Non-stupid people consistently underestimate the destructive power of stupid individuals. Why is this so? Because rational people struggle to comprehend truly irrational behavior. We keep expecting stupid people to eventually recognize their own self-interest, not realizing that the defining characteristic of stupidity is its detachment from rational self-interest. The damage caused by stupidity is determined by two key factors. First, the individual's natural predisposition toward irrational behavior. Some people seem intrinsically more prone to stupidity than others. Second, and more concerning, is the amount of power and influence the stupid person wields. A stupid person in a position of significant authority, whether in government, business, or community leadership, can cause exponentially more damage than one with limited influence. This raises an uncomfortable question. How do stupid people attain positions of power in the first place? In traditional societies, class structures and inheritance systems often elevated people regardless of merit. In modern democracies, we face a different but related problem. Electoral systems themselves can systematically elevate the stupid. Democratic systems, while valuable for many reasons, contain a fundamental vulnerability. They reflect the distribution of rationality within the population. If stupidity is widespread, democratic processes will inevitably elevate some stupid individuals to positions of power. Once established in authority, these individuals tend to surround themselves with others who share their irrational tendencies, creating systemic stupidity that becomes extraordinarily difficult to dislodge. This institutional entrenchment of stupidity leads to Kenney's fifth and most sobering principle. Stupid individuals are the most dangerous people in society. More dangerous than the corrupt. More dangerous than the selfish. More dangerous even than the actively malicious. Why? Because while corruption can be addressed through accountability systems, and self-interest can be channeled through proper incentives, stupidity follows no predictable pattern and responds to no rational intervention. A corrupt official can be bribed or threatened. A selfish actor can be appealed to through self-interest. But a stupid person? They may harm themselves and others seemingly at random for no discernible reason and with no way to predict when or how they'll act next. Stupidity operates as a powerful entropy in human systems, a constant force dragging organized structures toward chaos and dissolution. And unlike other destructive forces, it cannot be reasoned with. If you've ever worked on a team project where one member consistently made inexplicable decisions that harmed the project and themselves, you've witnessed this principle in action. If you've ever watched a leader implement policies that damaged both their own interests and those of their followers, you've seen institutional stupidity at work. Now, if stupidity is indeed such a pervasive and destructive force in human affairs, what hope do we have? Are we simply doomed to watch our institutions and communities slowly corrode under its influence? Kenney offers a partial solution. The only defense against stupidity is an increase in the proportion of intelligent actors in society. While the percentage of intrinsically stupid people may be relatively fixed, many people oscillate between different categories of behavior. The helpless and the opportunists can, with proper education and incentives, learn to act more intelligently, creating value for both themselves and others. This shift toward more intelligent behavior can help offset the damage caused by the persistently stupid in societies with a sufficiently high proportion of intelligent actors. The positive benefits they create can outweigh the destruction wrought by stupidity. However, Kenney notes with concern that many modern social forces actually push people away from intelligent behavior rather than toward it. Welfare systems without proper design can trap people in helpless behaviors by disconnecting actions from consequences. Meanwhile, hyper-materialistic value systems that emphasize wealth accumulation above all else push many toward opportunistic behaviors, willing to harm others for personal gain. The key insight from Kenney's framework is that many of society's most intractable problems stem not from complex conspiracies or elaborate systems of oppression, but from something far simpler and more mundane: the cumulative effect of stupid decisions made by people at all levels of society. This perspective offers both despair and hope. Despair, because stupidity appears to be an ineradicable feature of human society. Hope, because by recognizing stupidity's true role in our collective problems, we can design more effective interventions. Rather than constructing elaborate theories about sophisticated hidden forces, perhaps we should more often consider the possibility that human systems fail simply because too many participants are acting against both their own interests and the interests of others. This doesn't mean abandoning efforts to combat genuine corruption, malice, or systemic problems, but it does suggest allocating more attention to the silent tax that stupidity levies on all human endeavors. So, how can we apply these insights to improve our own lives and communities? First, we can become more aware of stupidity, including our own. While we all like to think of ourselves as intelligent actors, honest self-reflection often reveals moments when we've harmed both others and ourselves through irrational decisions. Second, we can design systems that are more resistant to the effects of stupidity. This means creating robust institutions that can function even when some participants act irrationally, with checks and balances that limit the damage any single stupid actor can cause. Third, we can work to increase the proportion of intelligent behavior in our communities by creating incentives that align individual self-interest with collective welfare. When acting intelligently becomes the path of least resistance, more people will naturally choose it. Finally, we should perhaps exercise more compassion toward those who act stupidly. If stupidity is indeed as pervasive and destructive as Kenney suggests, then it represents a kind of universal human tragedy, a cognitive limit that constrains our collective potential. By understanding stupidity as a fundamental force shaping human affairs, we gain a clearer picture of why our societies function as they do, not because of grand conspiracies or elaborate power structures, but because of the cumulative impact of countless irrational decisions made each day at every level of society. The silent tax of stupidity touches everything we build together. Acknowledging its existence is the first step toward creating a world less vulnerable to its effects. If you've found value in this exploration of human irrationality, consider supporting our channel. We're dedicated to examining the overlooked forces that shape our lives and societies. Subscribe for more content that challenges conventional wisdom and offers fresh perspectives on age-old problems. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of humanity's most persistent challenges. Until next time, remember that understanding the role of stupidity in human affairs doesn't mean surrendering to cynicism. It means approaching our collective problems with clearer eyes and more effective solutions.